I open my eyes slowly. The pressure in my head tells me I didn't get nearly enough sleep. Not really a surprise considering we were both up until 3. And our own ghost adventure a few hours later didn't help things. I hear the doorbell and realize that that's what had woken me up. Groaning, I reach under my pillow and feel around for a few seconds before I find my phone. The lump that is Carl in the blankets near my feet doesn't even budge. That was the cool thing about having Carl as a roommate. He slept like a fucking rock. I did pretty much anything I wanted to, and didn't have to worry about him reporting me to the RA, even something like jerking off. That only happened a few times, though. The rabbit I'm rooming with now is a different story. Again, the doorbell. I glance at my phone. 10 a.m. I also notice I have 5 texts and 2 calls. Hey. Sorry, hey. On way to Carl's house for surprise party. Make sure you're ready. Here? That sounds like the reverse of a surprise party. I look down, then nudge some part of Carl with my foot. Judging by the thickness and consistency, I'm pretty sure it's his ass. He grunts. What? I think someone's at the door. He doesn't say anything, and a few seconds later his guttural snores start up again. This time, I really dig my foot in, and he yelps loudly, sitting up so fast his horns bang against the wall. He squints against the sunlight pouring in between the blinds, which turns his emerald eyes into an almost mint green. He raises up a paw to block the light and looks at me, frowning. What the hell was that? The doorbell goes off again. Door. Carl blinks at me, then slumps back down on his pillow, waving a paw lazily in the air. Let it ring. They'll go away eventually. Huh? Are you sure? He fluffs his paw around again. Solicitor, trust me. They see this house and make a beeline. No one else visits. I sigh, looking back down at my phone. Oh look, Leo texted me. That's probably him at the door. I guess my tone of surprise was a little too fake because Carl sits up and eyes me suspiciously. Well, you can go ahead and answer it. You're allowed to touch my door. I'll sigh a little harder this time. Damn it, Carl. Fine. They're planning a surprise birthday party for you, so go down there, answer the door, and act surprised. What? But Carl's not just confused, he looks genuinely upset. He leans into the corner and pulls up the blanket, like he's preparing to ward off the boogeyman. My birthday isn't until next month. I pause, watching him. I know, but we didn't have much to do, so Leo thought. I slide off the bed and start pulling on my jeans and a shirt. Come on, I'll go down with you. Carl covers his face and rubs hard, the short fur on his muzzle bristling out and little spikes around his fingers. Wanted to relax today, you know? Isn't that every day for you? I laughed to lighten the jab, but Carl just frowns. Well, not with you. I'm starting to wonder if all of this isolation has worsened Carl's issues, if he really has gotten the help he needs. That all of this hiding out has just blanketed the problem and let it fester underneath. We can relax. We're all friends here, Carl. Come on. I pick up his clothes left on the floor from yesterday and toss them at him. I'm at least relieved to see him putting them on, even if it's reluctant. My phone buzzes a few more times, but I ignore it and patiently wait for Carl to finish getting dressed. I think this will be a lot of fun. He doesn't say anything as he slowly rolls off the bed and pulls on his shorts. Surprise! Happy not really your birthday, bitch! As I open the door, a blast of confetti hits my face, along with a loud pop that leaves my ears ringing. TJ, not in the face! Sorry! I slowly pull the papery strings of confetti off from around my ears as the smell of fireworks stings my nose. Where the fuck's Carl? I look behind me and step over to the side a bit, revealing Carl, who's got his arms folded tightly, head dipped. Good thing I didn't answer the door, huh? Happy birthday! Leo bustles in, carrying 2 bags. Jenna follows, carrying medium-sized cylindrical cake covered in white frosting. Carl perks up a bit when he sees this, his long ears bouncing. Hey, is that red velvet? Yeah, Flynn says it's your favorite. Store-made, though. I would have made it myself if Leo had warned us in advance. Hey, I just came up with this like 2 days ago. Flynn engages Carl with some fake punches while Leo sets the bags down on the table before turning to me with his voice low. Just so you know, your gift is a hornband. Okay, so is everything alright? With Flynn, I mean? Leo glances over at the lizard, working the corner of his mouth up towards his ear. Yeah, I think so. It will take a bit more time for him to settle down, but he already sorta apologized where you were going. So that's a start, at least, eh? I excel. Okay. Carl, where are your plates? The cupboard. Second door over. Now that Flynn's not shoving him around, Carl's standing awkwardly next to a table, paws fidgeting. So, why are we doing this? It's not until next month. Leo shrugs, frowning. We just wanted to do something, really. I mean, there's not much to do, ya know? You have candles anywhere, Carl? No, I don't think so. What's up, man? Haven't had your morning joint yet? Lighten up! Flynn snatches up one of Carl's horns and wobbles his head around. Well, it's something Flynn did to Carl a lot. The taboo act of grabbing someone's horn almost makes me gasp out loud. Stop! Carl shoves Flynn off and smooths his beanie down. Well, I guess we'll have to skip the candles. I told you we should have brought some, Leo. Leo throws his arms out in a shrug. What? Sue me if I thought they'd have everything we need in this mansion. No kidding. You know how places you haven't been to since you were little look smaller when you visit as an adult? TJ's eyes scanned the tall ceiling. This place still just looks giant. Sure, Cheech. Carl huffs out a breath. Why didn't you guys tell me? I still need to take a shower. Quit being a pussy. You always smell like a skunk. Now eat some cake. Flynn grabs up the knife while Jenna sets out the plates. The frosting is so thick it practically absorbs the knife. I haven't had cake for breakfast since, like, your last birthday, Carl. Carl doesn't say anything. Instead, sitting at the end of the table, paws in his pockets. You guys sure slept in. What were you doing all night? I wait to see if Carl is going to say anything. When it's clear he isn't, I chime in. Video games, mostly, and a movie. Fun. It's something we could have done together, though. Maybe for people who don't have a job to go to the next day. I don't think that was a personal dig at Carl, but I don't miss the downward flick in his ears. Flynn plops down a thick slice of cake onto Carl's plate, the inch-deep frosting making a splatting sound. Maybe we should just stick a doobie in there and light it, huh? Carl, who had perked up at the sight of the cake, shrinks back down with a frown. Just a small slice, please. Flynn eyes TJ, who's holding out his plate and positions his knife. Smaller? Please? Oh my god, listen up, you're on vacation! Flynn starts cutting the slice even bigger than Carl's was. Hey! Flynn... She says it quietly, but the chill in her voice is clear, and so is the fact that things aren't completely okay. Flynn grunts, then cuts the cake again, this time with a slice that's just an inch wide. That good? Yeah, that's fine. Thanks. TJ moves away to sit down, and the warm glow of our little get-together chills, but Leo chips in with a laugh. Make sure Chase gets a real big chunk. He's getting way too skinny. I don't argue, and Flynn slaps down a large slice on my plate, a little notch in the center where he tried to cut TJ's. I sit in the vacant seat next to Carl where he's resting a cheek in his paw, methodically shoveling the cake into his maw. Everything okay? Oh, yeah. Everything's good. I'm about to ask more, but Flynn points across the table at us. Hey, Leo. You want to tell us about what we saw on the way here? Oh, God, no. I look at Leo inquisitively, and even Carl's ears perk up a little bit. What? Leo purses his lips, like he's trying to decide whether or not to tell us. Now might not be the best time. Flynn rolls his eyes. Screw it. You know Janice? The waitress? Yeah. The methed out one at the diner? Come on, Flynn. Well, anyway, we were driving up Main Street toward the field, you know, with the rusted barbed wire and stuff. TJ's hiding his face with a paw as he stares down hard at his cake. Uh-huh. Well, when we turned around the bend, we saw Janice. He keeps pausing for effect, and it's getting annoying. Okay, what happened? Well, she was all crunched over, staring at the road. And Leo starts driving up to her. I thought she was having, like, a heart attack or something.
Yeah, well, as we get closer, we saw that her pants were down.
I recoil a little, not having expected that at all. What?
Yeah. When we pulled up next to her, she just grinned at us, and then...
Flynn snorts out a laugh, covering his face like he still can't believe what happened.
Can we please not talk about this? It just makes me feel awful.
What?
Well, she,
It's unusual to see Flynn at a loss for words.
well, she just started pissing.
Well, what? What? Why?
I don't know. She just smiled at us and started pissing. Heard it first, then looked down and saw it. Then Leo hit the gas.
Flynn sits back, done with his story, not exactly looking pleased with himself. I furrow my brow in confusion. Janice? She was one of the more well-adjusted people living in this town. Leo lets out a cough into the awkward silence. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened. Like maybe we missed something. Either way, she seemed fine a few days ago.
Well, now I have more reason to never go into that diner again.
We sit there awkwardly. I noticed Carl was staring down at his now empty plate. I still can't figure out why Carl's being so quiet. But I see an opportunity to get him to talk. And change the subject. Hey, didn't we have some weird stuff happen, Carl? Carl looks up at me. Huh? You know, the sounds we were hearing?
Oh, yeah. What kind of sounds?
Like bumping sounds. Voices.
That sounds creepy.
Yeah. And Carl just charged down there like he wasn't even scared.
That seems dangerous.
Carl finally gives a little smile.
Well, having a hard head can make you act crazy sometimes. So, did you find anything?
No, we're not sure what it was.
I'd watch out. Sounds like you got a pair of hobos banging out in your basement.
As we eat, Jenna leans over and starts pulling out presents from one of the bags. Sorry, Carl. We didn't even have time to wrap these up.
It's fine.
She pulls out a comic book from TJ, a poster from Leo, and a manga from herself. I know you hate these things, but I think you should give it a chance.
I'll take a look. Thanks.
And then this horn band is from Chase. She pulls out an orange and black band from the bag. The colors of my school, Carl's former school.
Oh.
He seems to be struggling to find something to say.
Thanks. I didn't know people still wore these.
Leo suddenly shifts against the counter, realizing that he had to explain my gift.
Well, they're making a comeback. We saw a couple rams and then a stag that had like 5 of them on.
Carl glances at me, and I can tell he probably knows I didn't get it for him. Mainly because of the university logo, and also because we'd made fun of them together a few years ago about how bro-y they were. I don't know if I should feel embarrassed or not, but my cheeks burn anyway. I promised myself to get him something thoughtful the next time we go into Peyton.
Yeah, well, here's mine.
Flynn reaches into his pocket and pulls out something small hidden in his paw. He hands it to Carl, who looks confused for a second before the expression turns to one of interest.
Whoa!
It's a small, metal, rectangular box with two sharp points jutting out of the top. I lean in for a closer look and realize those parts are horns, and there's a complex, elegant design of a ram's face etched out on the front of the box. Carl presses a thumb against one of the horns and pushes. The top flicks up and over, and that's when I realize it's a lighter.
Saw it when I was over on the reservation. Made me think of you.
He reaches out and traces a finger along the horns and flicks it back shut. Thanks, Flynn.
Yeah. Now you look like a badass when you decide to get blazed.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry!
We all jump and look over at TJ, who's looking at the floor, his plate gone from the table. Flynn starts to laugh, but catches himself. Don't worry about it. They probably got 100 of those plates. Carl, where's your broom? He doesn't say anything, and we look at where Carl had been sitting a few seconds before. But he's gone, and so is another portion of the cake. Huh? Where'd he go? Hey, check between the wall and the fridge. I think that's where I remember seeing it. Chi-Chi gets down on his knees and starts picking up the larger pieces. I look back at Carl's spot, then up the stairs. I'll be right back. Bathroom. I'm not sure why the deck is the first place I look, but it's where I find him. I watch him through the paneled curtains for a moment. He's sitting on a little swing set, facing out towards the glaringly bright desert. There's an empty plate with a fork on it next to him. He's also toying with the lighter Flynn gave him, flipping it open and closed a few times and holding it up to the light. Smoke wafts up from his lap where I assume he's holding a joint. Quietly, I slide open the glass door and step out onto the wooden balcony. The deck is, of course, nice and big, stretching around half the house. I see Carl's long ears twitch at the sound and he lowers the lighter down into his lap, but he doesn't turn around. Hey. He does turn around then, and smiles.
Shit, I thought you were Leo or something.
Would that have been a bad thing? I look around, then just decide to sit next to him on the swing.
He just had pulled me back to the party.
I look over at him. He's looking down at his lighter, turning it over in his paws, the hoof portions of his fingers making clacking sounds against the metal. The things always fascinated me. It seemed like it should make holding things more difficult, but I managed just fine. Are you okay? Carl huffs out a chuckle and leans his head back against the cushioned backing of the seat.
That's a great question. Everyone's always asking me.
You just seemed really uptight is all. Carl's demeanor is a lot more relaxed now, obviously. As if to emphasize that, though, he takes another hit off his joint and holds his breath for a moment, then lets it out. The pungent smell envelops me.
I just don't like being around so many people. You know that.
Well, yeah, but you were fine around them these past few days. Carl rubs his forehead hard with the paw holding the joint, using his palm.
Yeah, well, things weren't about me then. Just felt like a little bit put on the spot.
He coughs.
That shit just gets me nervous. Like, can't we just hang out and not make it about me?
I don't say anything, annoyed again that I can't just grasp what he means. Am I making you nervous? Carl finally does look at me then, his massive form swaying towards me.
No, you never do, Chase.
I do look away at that point, almost feeling self-conscious at the way he opened up to me.
And thanks for trying to get me to talk earlier. Just makes me feel guilty, though. The way people try and include me in things, and then I just disappoint them. But you just don't really force me into shit. Everyone feels like I need to do something. Why can't I just decide to do that for myself?
I pushed against the ground, making the swing sway a little, trying to think of the right thing to say. I mean, it's good to do stuff, right? You can't just sit around doing nothing forever.
I guess. It's just that I worry enough about it myself. I don't need other people doing it for me.
I leaned back in the swing for a bit, looking out over the desert.
Man, I'm hungry. Wish I brought more cake with me.
Not enough incentive to go back in?
Not yet.
I could go get you some. He smirks at me.
You one of those fat fetishists? Just feeding me garbage so my moobs get bigger?
You don't have moobs. I felt them.
Yeah, can't keep your paws off me. You have a thing for my fat ass?
I look him over, as if studying his figure.
Hey!
He covers his chest. Well, I do actually like bigger guys, and there's nothing wrong with extra weight, especially if it's carried well. He looks at me expectantly.
Which you do. Sweet! You know, you seem like you'd be a pretty dope boyfriend. Just feed me cake all day, then get off on the results.
I'm about to shoot back at him with something snarky when a stumbling figure catches my eye. Out on the sun-baked asphalt of the road in front of Carl's house is a thin figure, a weasel, I think, running up the road. He stops, panting, paws on his knees before he looks over his shoulder again. His whole body slumps then, like the air's gone out of him, like he's giving up on something. He turns around to look back up the road. He's far away, but even from here I can tell that he's talking. Carl looks over at my silence, then down at the road where I'm looking. Is that Duke?
Yeah, that's him. Must be on something. He usually is.
Duke finally turns around and starts to cower, his paws up in surrender. His lips are still moving rapidly, reminding me of someone who's trying to say as much as they can before something cuts them off. What do you think? I trail off as Duke suddenly whips his head around to look up at us, then starts pointing up at our balcony.
Uh-oh. Let's hope the doors are locked.
Carl's chuckling, obviously finding the whole thing hilarious, but I'm a bit more on edge. I don't really feel like he's high. Duke's movements are a lot more focused, more precise, like he's all there. And for some reason, it feels like he's looking directly at me. I furrow my brow, watching as the weasel turns toward us, sticking a foot out to take a step. The sound of the sliding glass door wrenching open nearly makes me jump out of my skin. What the hell are you guys doing? Jenna marches around the swing set to stand in front of us, paws on her hips.
Whoa, what's up, Jenna?
Carl leans back in the swing, elbows over the back, smiling. The fox's eyes narrow as she sees the joint. Did you forget who this party was for? Carl shrugs and rubs his forehead again.
Leo, I'm guessing.
No. We spent all day yesterday getting this ready for you, Leo especially. Now get back downstairs and have your party. Carl sits quietly for a moment, then glances at me.
No. No, I don't think I will.
He's not smiling anymore, his face expressionless, head turned back towards Jenna, but his eyes are wandering off to the side looking at the sky. Why not?
Because I didn't fucking ask for it.
I pretend to look at my phone. What, a party? I'm so sorry, we were trying to be thoughtful, Carl. Maybe we should just forget you next time, huh? Jenna, it's okay. We're just hanging out. She ignores me. I see the skin inside Carl's ears and around his nose turning red. Since he was a kid, Carl didn't deal well with conflict, usually running away the first chance he got.
No. This was for Leo. I just don't understand why we couldn't do something that didn't involve...
Sorry, Carl, but that's life. Sometimes you have to come out of your room. Sometimes you have to be the center of attention, and sometimes, God forbid, you have to talk to people.
Well, what if I just want to stay up here and hide? Who gives a fuck?
The look on Jenna's face is approaching contempt. Are you kidding me? This is difficult for you? Jenna. Again, she ignores me. I might as well be talking to a statue. Or maybe I'm the statue that she isn't paying attention to. I feel like something must have happened downstairs. This isn't like her. You never realize how good you have it, Carl. If you even had a taste of what I went through... I can practically feel the heat radiating off of Carl's body. He looks down at his lap.
Are you blaming me for that?
His voice breaks.
We all have our problems.
Some easier than others. Carl glares at her, trying to be angry, but I can tell it's not working.
You don't know what kind of shit I have to deal with.
Like being rich?
No! It's like... myself.
Oh, how terrible. The one thing you have full control over.
No! No! That's so fucking unfair!
The quiver in Carl's voice doesn't exactly sound convincing, and the pot doesn't seem to be helping as I can see his fingers shaking. Just like life. Carl's face is bewildered.
What the fuck did I do, Jenna? Did I say something wrong earlier?
Out of habit, he lifts the joint to his muzzle with his shaking fingers, but then flinches as Jenna steps forward. I guess he thought she was gonna slap him or something, but instead she just reaches forward and plucks the joint out from his grasp, right before flicking it back into his face. It hits his nose and Carl flinches again. Without a word, Jenna spins on her heel and opens the door even harder than she did the first time. I'm stunned. I haven't seen Jenna that angry since she was in middle school, and definitely never at Carl. Carl doesn't say anything, instead rubbing at his nose, leaning back in the seat. The insides of his ears are still flushed a deep red.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know. Something must have happened. That wasn't Jenna. I'll ask Leo about it. Later.
I didn't do anything, did I?
I shrug, no words coming to mind. We sit in silence for a while, listening to the train horns. Looking down, I see the joint still smoking up from the planks of the floor. Slowly, I lean over and pick it up before holding it out to Carl. He takes it and looks at it for a second. Raising his paw, he pauses, then takes a drag before flicking it off the side of the balcony. He lets his head sag, his big horns dipping towards the floor as he closes his eyes. Slowly I put my arm around his shoulders. He leans into me and doesn't pull away.
So it's over with Leo, huh?
Carl waves his controller around like it's gonna help him avoid my 3-spike throw, almost knocking over his beer bottle. It hits him anyway, and he gives a little grunt of annoyance. I grin and consider letting up on him because he's clearly drunk. Seems that way. He hasn't really talked to me much since I got here. I leave out the part that's probably my fault. Carl lets out a weird little "ugh" sound as I punch his character, as if he were the one getting punched instead.
Well, that sucks. Does it suck?
He looks intently at the screen. Still, I get the feeling he's not paying full attention because it's getting easier and easier to nail his character with my combos. I don't really know yet. It's been 3 years. Maybe it just hasn't kicked in yet?
Takes that long to kick in for you? When Tanya dumped me, I felt like I couldn't get out of bed for a week.
Oh God. I remember that, back in high school, when we were both 16. Didn't she get you into pot? Carl lets out a snort again as I flip kick his demon character in the chin.
Yep, and thanks Satan for it. I don't know how else I would have gotten over her. Anyway, not to be a dick, but you're better for it.
He surprises me with a spin kick that sends my Angel Wolf character flying across the screen. I focus back on the game and throw a barrage of punches into his demon character's face, sending blood splashing onto the screen.
Oh? Well, you know, it's just hard to talk to you and Leo when you guys are getting all lovey-dovey and shit.
Its words are mushy, starting to bleed into one another. His character throws a flaming spear at my angel, which I easily deflect with my shimmering shield. I extend my wings and swoop in to throw my lightning bolts. Well, you know, no one really tried to talk to us when we were together. It was like we were making you guys uncomfortable. I watch his demon flying in the air, surrounded by a glowing white circle. Looking over, I see Carl frowning.
No, I don't think so.
His demon spreads its own much spikier wings and hovers up from the circle. He reaches up into the sky and a red lightning bolt slams down into my character.
You guys were just kinda self-absorbed. You didn't call me once after you guys started dating.
And here I was thinking Carl never liked conflict. That sentence carried a lot of weight, and a lot of years behind it. I'm not about to argue with him, though, especially after what just happened with Jenna. That lightning bolt was it from my wolf angel, and his demon flies up to the screen and flips us off as "Winner" is displayed. Well, there was college. Carl stretches, leaning back in the giant beanbag chair we're sitting on.
I don't remember much of college anymore.
He leans back in the chair and looks over at me.
By the way, I have a job interview on Friday.
My eyes widen.
Don't act surprised, asshole.
He hangs on the last word with a lisp. You're drunk. But that's awesome. Where at?
A print shop. Be a production assistant.
That sounds decent.
Yeah. Parents told me they'd buy me a car to get me there. It's in Peyton, of course. But anyway, Flint told me he'd give me a ride to the interview, but since you're here...
He gives me a lazy, sidelong glance. While I usually wouldn't have an issue with it, the thought of how hard I've been procrastinating my school project is starting to make my stomach churn. But hey, how often will I get to hang out with Carl when the break is over? I'd love to take you. You know, we were going to go out and do stuff tomorrow. Why don't we change your look? Get you new clothes, or something for your interview. He keeps smiling.
Sounds great. So what's it like, kissing a dude?
I let out a surprised laugh. What?
You know, is it like more?
He wiggles his paw uselessly in the air. I don't know.
You kissed a girl, right? Samantha, right?
I think so? But that was like 7th grade?
So was it different?
I laugh at him again. Pretty sure it's just like kissing a girl, man.
You sure?
I feel like kissing different species would be even more different.
Maybe. I've always sort of wanted to know what it's like.
He says it slowly, deliberately, trying not to trip over his words. Yeah? I say it even slower because I think I know what Carl's getting at.
I can see how guys can be sexy.
Carl, are you coming out to me? He rolls over onto his stomach, facing me fully now.
That's a good question. Maybe we can answer it.
I'm a little buzzed, but not drunk. Are you asking if you can kiss me? He gazes at me lazily through lidded eyes, looking about ready to fall asleep.
Only if you want.
I've been asked to be the experiment of a few guys in the past, in college, and I've always said no. But Carl is drunk. I shouldn't let him in. I smirk at him. Carl, you're drunk.
No, I'm not.
He bursts into giggles even before he finishes the sentence. The ram then decides to roll over, directly onto my chest. I let out a quiet irk, trying to push him off my more sensitive areas. Fortunately, he seems to get the hint and props himself up on his elbows. Tell you what, if you ask me again in the morning sober, I'll say yes.
Oh, come on.
I'm about to chide him some more, but that's when he starts snoring. I smile some, peering down at Carl. This is actually pretty comfortable. Maybe I'm just touch-starved or something. Whatever it is, I'm left with some slight bittersweetness as I remind myself Carl probably wouldn't have the courage to do this sober. Whether he's just messing around or not, this is nice, watching his large chest rise and fall. Slowly, the dim lights in Carl's room fade out as I fall asleep to his comforting, rhythmic snores.
Stop!
I heave for breath as I chase TJ down the dusty street, trying not to pop the water balloon that I'm holding with my claws.
You always chase me!
TJ's whining again, but I don't care. He's always the funniest one to hit. His crazy speed made it all the more rewarding. Even though he's a grade lower, he could outrun me easily. I can still keep up with him though, since he's running around houses and mailboxes. My 4th grade brain is easily able to figure out ways to cut him off. It's not long before I have him backed up against the back of the Bentley's trailer home. He does a stupid dance where he's running back and forth, covering his head.
Stop!
I stick my tongue out the side of my muzzle, following him back and forth with the balloon I have cocked behind my head. Hold still!
No!
He finally curls up into a ball against the house, crouching in the dirt in his blue swim trunks. I stop. Well, it's not going to be fun if you're not going to try to run. He looks up at me between his fingers.
You always throw it too hard!
Well, if you... He suddenly darts to the right, but I'm ready, hurling the balloon right at his back. It doesn't explode, though, instead smacking against his spotted back with a wet splat.
Ow!
He skids to a stop, then immediately bends and scoops up the balloon, grinning at how the tables have turned. Uh-oh. I start jogging backwards as TJ heaves back with the balloon. But I don't have anything to worry about. In his excitement, he grips the balloon too hard, and I can see how his claws dimple the rubber before it explodes mid-throw. Water showers his head, and dust kicks up his dark spots speckle the ground just like his fur, I think. He gasps the way cats do whenever they get any water on them, and I point and laugh. I can tell he's deciding whether or not to sulk and cry, and I hold my breath because I don't want the game to end. I think I win him over because he smiles and starts laughing too.
That always happens to me!
Well, don't hold it so hard.
I wasn't!
Yeah, you were. I saw. I see TJ's ears perk and he looks over towards the front of the house. What? That's when I hear it too.
What you doing with those water balloons?
Don't touch me!
I'm not touching you. Just give me the fucking balloons.
Clint and Jeremy. Carl must have followed us, and they saw him out the window. My guts drop to my feet and I feel like I'm gonna pee myself. TJ covers his mouth and I see tears starting to brim in his eyes. I think fast. Go, run and get Leo. He can help. Before I know it, TJ's tearing across the backyards of the houses, up the block where Leo's filling water balloons. At least that's where I hope he's going. Slowly I pat around the house, peeking around the corner to the front yard. Carl's standing with his fists clenched, staring hard, trying to look defiant, but I can tell he's terrified. Multicolored water balloons are scattered around his hooves. He must have been carrying them all in his white tank top. He always wore a shirt when we did water games.
What's the matter, cunt face? We're not gonna hurt ya. Yeah, right.
Jeremy laughs stupidly at Clint and bends down to pick up a purple water balloon. Clint starts circling around Carl and the ram follows him with his muzzle, nostrils flaring. As he's looking the other way, Jeremy throws the water balloon right in Carl's face. Following the smack of rubber on the muzzle, the water balloon explodes, showering all three of them in water. Carl whimpers and covers his face. I grip the side of the house, knowing I should do something, but my legs aren't moving.
Leave me alone!
Carl's doing a good job of not crying, but he's about to.
Hey, we're just playing.
Clint leans down to pick up another water balloon. That's when Carl makes a break for it, dodging around the bent-over Carl towards the street. Clint's too fast, though, and the ring-tailed cat instantly reaches up and grabs Carl by one of his horns. He rides him for a second, jumping on Carl's back before using his long tail to trip the ram up. Carl lands on his stomach with a loud grunt as Clint sits on his back, holding onto his horns.
Cunt! He stepped on my tail!
Clint grabs both of Carl's horns and leans back. So far, I think I can hear his spine cracking. Carl screams in pain and reaches for his horns. With his face pointed at the sky, I can see the tears rolling down his face now. The one eye I can see is wide open, and I think he sees me, but still my legs won't move. Oi! Leo jogs up the street, looking right at Clint. The ringtail sneers but drops Carl back to the ground and stands up as Leo gets closer. The fuck do you want, Beaner? Clint's wary, his casual demeanor more tense now that Leo's here. I sigh with a relief. Carl sits up and quickly rubs his face before standing and running back up the street, his hooves clopping loudly all the way. Leo doesn't even look at him. His eye is on Clint. I said, what do you want? You no understand? Honestly, Leo might not have understood. He's only been here less than a year. Still, Leo doesn't say anything, his jaw working, and I wonder if he's imagining chewing on Clint's neck. You're fucking crazy! Let's go, Jeremy! Clint is afraid of Leo, and he'd left us alone ever since the wolf had moved in, at least for the most part. Even though they're both 13, Leo is a head taller and almost twice as wide. Leave them alone. Clint stops. What? Leave them alone. Forever. Clint looks hesitant, obviously not wanting to stay, but unable to leave now that Leo had thrown out a challenge, and not in front of Jeremy. Or what? Or... He thinks for a second. Is not good for you. Painful. I hadn't been paying attention to Jeremy, but I see a sudden movement from behind Leo, followed by another smack and a splash. Leo arches his back, hissing at the pain from how hard Jeremy had thrown it. The wolf whirls around, one paw rubbing at his back as he snarls at Jeremy, who points and laughs. Ha ha! Wetback! He doesn't see Clint running at him from behind. Leo! I yelp at his name, and he does turn around, only to catch a sucker punch right in the stomach. I can hear the thud along with the air going out of him all the way from here. Leo stumbles back and stops with his paws on his knees, gasping. I wince and cover my eyes, only to pull them back down immediately and see Jeremy leaping on Leo from behind and biting his ear. Leo screams in pain but immediately twists and slams his knees into Jeremy's crotch. Jeremy lets go and lets out his own scream, which Leo puts an end to when he grabs the fox and swings him around by the shirt. Jeremy's forward momentum is brought to a halt as he slams headfirst into the oak tree. He goes down. Clint's scared, his eyes wide as he looks from Leo to Jeremy to the front door. Leo doesn't give him a chance, though, running forward and hitting him with a tackle that slams them both to the ground. I think I hear Clint start to beg, but Leo's fists start raining down on his face. Now all I can hear are crunchy, fleshy thuds as punch after punch hits Clint's face. And I can hear Leo, too. ¿Quieres pelear? No me jodas! The sounds Clint makes go from snarling to screaming to gurgling, and I cover my ears because it sounds so terrible. Again, I feel like I should stop this. Leo looks like he's in a trance with how focused he is on hurting Clint. But again, I'm too terrified. I run in the direction of Carl. I need to tell him I'm sorry, that I should have helped him somehow, but that I was so scared. Even though this road doesn't lead to his house, I somehow get there. The sky is red and orange, even though it was noon just a few minutes ago. For some reason, Carl's house is bigger, much bigger than it should be. The architecture is pointier, different. I walk around, slowly looking for Carl. Looking down, I see hoofprints. They're too big to be Carl's, but I follow them anyway. They lead around the back of the house right up to the wooden set of cellar doors. I reach out to them, even though I feel something terrible welling up inside my stomach. I pull on them, but they're stuck, as if welded shut somehow. A window well next to the doors draws my attention. I get down on my knees, then on my stomach as I look intently through the window. There are little clear spots on the glass, little paw prints breaking through a layer of old dust. The paw prints of children. The room is almost pitch black, but the red light behind me illuminates some of the cement ground through the windows. Behind the paw prints, I see something long and spindly crawl across the ground. I don't know where I am at first as I open my eyes, but the dimmed Lucha Lobo lamp tells me. Laying there for a while, I realize that Carl's no longer on top of me. My face fur is a little wet, and my nose is stuffy. I look around, thinking that Carl probably went back to his bed, but he's not there either. He must be getting a drink, or something. A dull, far-off thud makes me open my eyes again. I listen carefully, starting to worry that the sound came from downstairs. Again, I hear it, and it makes me jump this time. Shit. Is it happening again? I hear a voice coming from the same area, directly below me. It's a lot more muffled, but I can still tell it's a voice, muttering and cursing. Carl? My voice sounds weak and warbly in the heavy silence of the dark house. The scuffling sounds below me stop for a second, though, then start up again, more vigorous now. Slowly I sit up, listening to the whispering and thudding beneath me. My mind flashes to Duke, the weasel's foot forward, his eyes locked on me. Finally, the anxiety gets to me and I stand up, walking as quick as I can from the room into the hallway. The kitchen is dark and I move over to the front door to check and see if it's locked. It is, so I move over to the stairs and look down into the inky blackness, almost afraid to turn on the lights. Nothing jumps out at me when I do, but the light is actually making me more afraid knowing that it will light up anything that's down there. I move down the stairs as quietly as I can, every creak making my fur bristle. The scraping sound is louder now, and so is the voice. I'm almost positive that it's Carl, but I can't be sure. I call it his name again, but it's almost a whisper in my throat. I clasp my paws together against my chest, eyes flicking to each doorway as I slowly move down the hall, not wanting Carl to get the jump on me. When I finally get to the crawlspace door, I can pick up on the rhythmic thumping along with the scrapes, and the muttering is much clearer now. Buried inside, help. I shiver. Carl, this isn't funny. Again, my voice is weak and unconvincing. He probably didn't even hear me. Another thud almost shakes the house and I jump. What the hell is he doing? Is he even Carl? Did whoever is down there murder him and is now in the process of burying his body? The fear is too much. I know I have to open the door now and put an end to this stupid prank, or I'm going to call 911 and make everything worse. With each step I take towards the doors, I feel like the air gets more electrified, the charge making my fur stand on end all over my body. As soon as I touch the tiny knob to the door and start to pull it open, though, the sound stops. I freeze, listening hard. I get the feeling that whatever is down there is doing exactly the same thing. Then I hear a series of thuds as whatever it is runs at the door. I fall back and can't help myself from shrieking, landing on my ass and scooting backwards with my paws and feet. The door flies open and I'm face to face with the dusty Carl. Carl, what the fuck? I scream at him, my chest heaving as I clench it, like I'm about to have a heart attack. He looks confused, looking around, then back at me, breathing hard himself. I wait, but he doesn't say anything. There's white dust all over his horns, and on his shoulders. Just what? I yell at him again and he jumps. I'd feel bad if I wasn't so freaked out.
I sleepwalk. Sometimes. Okay?
I debate whether or not to accept that as an answer, but he looks confused enough that it just might be true. You scared the shit out of me. Carl moves out of the crawl space, leaning over to brush his head off.
You scared the shit out of me. I didn't know where I was.
I slowly get to my feet, still breathing heavily. What is that stuff? What were you doing in there?
Just dust. It's dirty down there.
Again, I feel like he's leaving stuff out. I try to look past him into the crawl space, but he closes the door.
Come on. I need a smoke after that.
I stand back to let him pass, tempted to open the door again. He grabs my arm when he sees me looking, though.
Seriously, dude, let's go. I don't really want to be alone in this house right now. Please.
I look at him and I can tell he's definitely freaked out. I would be too if I woke up in that crawl space. Yeah, let's go. Slowly I follow him, looking back at the door before flicking off the light. Thursday.